DeMelas' first exhibition was in 1993. His first show was about found object, wood pieces, they were sculptures. Other elements came after his first show was the inclusion of acoustics, photograph, work on paper, and videos. I think that this work is about recollections of the past, memories, experience, the fragment of his life.
Two teachers in my life were my parents. They're both really pretty amazing painters. Probably I respect their work more than anyone else's that I've ever, any artist I've known. Especially because they're so just humble and sincere about how they do their work. They're not showing in galleries, it's not important to them. But both of them are just amazing painters. The idea is these would go on a piece of plexi. You can backlight them. Right? Might be a little bright. Use a light that has a little less strength to it. Real long strip all the way down. I'm gonna have to give up this bartending stuff. It's killing me. This is called wind gel, and I'm now a convert to it. They could use me to sell this shit, and I love it. So it really does turn your paint into like an enamel, It's like this is like an enamel, and then it dries really fast. I want to add to these flowers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers that I want them to come in front of these blue things, But I also wanted all this back stuff to be there, like beforehand. This is like in process. They should hire me. Gambling, it's just awesome. My buddy Paul Rodriguez worked for them, and he turned me on to him. And I got to tell you, pound for pound, I could put this up against any other paint made anywhere in the world. It's an American-made paint, and I'm not really jingoistic. It's just a great paint, just unbelievable. And this is the most ultimate color. It's called transparent orange. It can go from red, like red to orange to light orange to you know, like, it's just ridiculous. It's a great color. Oh, that's from my graffiti days. I was a graffiti artist. My name was Stony. And I wrote from like 1973 to 80. These were all storyboards I made for different projections I did with different artists, like choreographers and theater people, and like this was I would shoot them, the whole thing digitally, and then put it into the G4, and Ricardo and I would pan across them, and we would layer film over them and make them kind of like these strange kind of landscapes. This is all done with red ballpoint pen. But it's my uncle. I mean, that's my uncle. It's a self-portrait of him, you know? And you know, my uncle had polio. So his one arm was smaller than the other arm. So there's something very mechanical about this, like kind of the infrastructure of the hand, and it's like this bionic arm almost. Don't you even think about it, cat. Like this area here is my father's. I can tell that. It's my uncle. My dad, this is my dad here too. At that time, I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I would visit him pretty often. You know, he's the one that got me, really opened my eyes to New York art. I mean, he taught me how to, oh God, taught me how to, play darts, taught me how to fight, taught me how to look at women, taught me how to dance, taught me, all those things, like the kid learns, all those, I would go to New York all the time. Took me to see Clockwork Orange when I was like 12 years old. He just was pretty, like Earl Flynn he was like, he was like one of these old school kind of actor types. Looking back on it in hindsight, I mean, he was really an amazing, eccentric force that made all of us more creative. We were all kind of part of the same, come from the same ilk. My mom and dad were both artists, and my uncle. I don't know, it's hard for me to kind of put it all together because he's just died recently, and it's still hard for me to kind of put him in where his place is, in life.
I didn't think he would have pursued an artwork field. I didn't think he would continue into it, but he did, and to his better, The stuff he's doing now is it's 4 or 5 jumps ahead of what he started out with. And what I seem to sense in him is that without having had this college degree behind him, that he seems to have a gift of gab, of playing with words, and he seems to be able to get along with no matter who the person is, even if it was the President of the United States, he would know how to talk to the person, really, and not feel uncomfortable doing it. That's the thing about Tony. When he's talking to anybody, he's not uncomfortable. My brother Mario was good at it. He was a good artist. I have a drawing of his. And my father did little things, fishes, people's faces, little landscapes, little trees. I have his little drawings. But he was more of a poet than anything. The Sardinian culture has a lot of poetry running through it. They have a thing that they do where they pick air, water, and fire, and things like that, and they're supposed to pick a subject and compose poems, a cappella, poems of 8 lines or 16, I don't know how many it is, and they have 2 guys that go head-to-head against each other on a stage, and there are people out there writing their poems down, and they have to be improvised.
He went to Italy and Sardinia, and it influenced his artwork, and it brought out, I guess the fisherman in him or something, and made him want to do boats and paintings of underwater. The one that's at Fork looks like some kind of treasure underwater, so it's really neat looking. And around the edge of it is almost like graffiti around the edge. It's really neat.
He was in the Hushin building, and it was all that they rented it out to all the sewers. So he was down the hall. He had one other artist in there, but he was doing these huge sculptures. I mean, 6 foot by 8 foot, and I mean, they were just not going to sell. I mean, who was going to hang these huge sculptures? But he loved doing it, and he decided to make a boat, and the boat was 1492 kind of big billowy sails. I got incorporated into making the sails, and then he put a little viewer in there so you could look at slides, three-dimensional slides inside this little boat. And then he started making paintings of water, underwater, but he didn't call it underwater. They were abstract. But I called them underwater. And so the whole thing had a maritime, I don't even know what he called the show, but it had a maritime aspect to it.
Currently I'm at the car school, and I plan to go to CAFA, the Creative and Performing Arts High School. And last summer I did this sculpture, and I just call it the Grim Reaper. And the reason I decided to do this is because we had to do a half-body sculpture. So I asked the teacher if I was allowed to do something other than that, and if I was allowed to do a Grim Reaper. And he thought for a little while about it, and then he let me do it. And I said it looked better without the glazing.
This is called Demento Mickey. It was a project for the school that I go to, Creative and Performing Arts on Broad Street. The project was to spoof Disney. For this specific piece I used many different brushes. One brush that I used was actually a toothpick, and I used a basic Utrecht starter set for, it was acrylic, and the idea behind this was that I was having a lot of trouble getting started in my research paper for my English class, so I was having a lot of writer's block as far as collecting books and things were concerned.